So the cash recycle situation right now that we are seeing is absolutely insane. It is completely diabolical what these companies are doing right out in the open in front of us. So this is exactly what's creating this AI bubble of over-evaluation, increased evaluation, and a possibility for a complete collapse in the tech and AI sectors in the stock market. Because we're seeing companies here like NVIDIA that have a lot of cash. For example, $100 billion in cash. And they have this $100 billion of cash. These companies do not. So NVIDIA's evaluation is looking pretty good. But NVIDIA wants to invest in OpenAI and increase their evaluation so that they can make a lot of money. So what do? They give that $100 billion to OpenAI. All right. But they don't actually want to lose that $100 billion. And OpenAI needs something really bad with that $100 billion. They need graphics cards from NVIDIA. So OpenAI invests that $100 billion right back into NVIDIA for graphics cards. But it doesn't just stop there. AMD wants a slice of that pie. AMD, also processing chips, also has a lot of processing power and a little bit of cash. So they do a $50 billion deal with OpenAI. But they know that OpenAI has to buy $50 billion worth of graphics cards with them. So NVIDIA and AMD both just put about, on average, we put in $150 billion into OpenAI. OpenAI doesn't have any of that cash. They used that cash to buy from NVIDIA and AMD. Now they are back where they started, and their evaluation is heavily increased. But NVIDIA and AMD get all their money back and just recycle that cash and have a new client that owes them a ton of money. Now, OpenAI doesn't have that cash, but they might use a little bit of that residual cash that they have from NVIDIA or AMD and connect with HIMS, of all companies. A $50 billion deal with HIMS. Well, HIMS is going to invest that right back into OpenAI so that they can use their AI technologies in their product and in their website for people. Well, so nothing really just happened there. This is all the same cash from NVIDIA and AMD. It's all being recycled throughout these companies. Well, xAI wants a little bit of that cake, and so does Tesla. So they figure out a deal with these companies and with themselves. But all that money just goes right back to where it started. And then we see that extended into Google, who's doing deals with NVIDIA, doing deals with Tesla and xAI and AMD and HIMS and OpenAI, because they have all of the data in the entire world. And we see that with Meta. They want a cake. They have data and they have AI. So they're doing these deals with Google to get some of their AI going on. Tesla, so they can get some of their info and data. xAI for data. NVIDIA for chips. AMD for chips. OpenAI for evaluation. And CoreWeave, out of nowhere, gets a deal from Meta, who's then going to do a deal with NVIDIA, who does a deal with Tesla, who does a deal with AMD, puts that money right back into NVIDIA. So let's say there was $100 billion to start, just to make it easy. That $100 billion went from NVIDIA to OpenAI, to AMD, to OpenAI, to HIMS, to xAI, to CoreWeave, to Meta, to Google, to CoreWeave, to Tesla, to Meta, to NVIDIA. It's all right back where it started. Not a single company made a single dollar, but the evaluation of these companies went up hundreds of billions of dollars altogether, increasing their valuation with no actual value added to these companies. This is a complete illegal business practice that we are literally watching unfold. So as you watch the next team up of OpenAI and the next random company they decide to partner with, watch their evaluations and then watch what actual new product they decide to put forth and see if there's any change in their company or their product. This is what is leading to this bubble that we're seeing in the AI and tech sector, and it's going to pop. once this pops and everybody realizes that no value is being added to these companies, but their valuation is increasing tenfold, this is where we're going to see people panic and pull their money out for sure. And this is when we're going to see a complete collapse in these sectors, maybe even leading into a collapse further into crypto and the rest of the market as well. Anyways, thanks.